Good evening. Hello. How are you doing? My name is Nathaniel, and this is Impact 2021. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that this is our continuing conversation where it crosses between what's going on in the world, social justice issues, religious issues, just issues as a whole, where we come and we have a continuing conversation. Tonight, where our conversation is going to continue on, if you were with us last week, or you would see that we're basically coming into a conversation around what's been going on with some churches and what's been going on related to social justice. So what we've had in the past, I'll say year, there's been three major church organizations who have split, and they split over two reasons, or multiple reasons. One reason was the LGBTQ reason, whether they should have members be joining their church, whether they should have them in leadership positions as clergy, and so they decided to split. The other reason was women in leadership positions, clergy as well, and they decided to split. These organizations, United Methodist split, the Episcopal Church in Texas split, and the Southern Baptist Convention just recently decided to expel two churches for a similar role. But let's focus in on this dividing up. But let's focus in a little bit more on the Southern Baptist Convention. They're also splitting because they're having an issue of CRT, or is known as the critical race theory, and that is basically the acknowledgement and the academic framework around acknowledging systematic and systemic racism. And so I say all this to say, we have two guests that we're going to have coming in today, and we're just going to talk through some issues when it comes to social justice, and when it comes to these churches, and especially churches being involved in social justice or individuals being involved in social justice. They're splitting up because of issues like LGBTQ. They're splitting up because of women in powerful positions. They're splitting up because of the conversation about race. How then, or what is our response when it comes to going out and marching, going out and participating with people who are going to be different from you? If let's say you're a straight male and you're walking next to LGBTQ, is that a problem? Is that a problem if you're a church goer and you're walking next to somebody who doesn't believe in God? So let's talk about it. So let me bring in, we got Urban.
Hey, how you doing? I'm well, yourself?
Yeah, doing great. And we got Pastor Daniel. How are we doing? All right. So let's doing good. Let's just roll with the first question. I'm gonna ask Urban. I'm gonna start on with you. So when we talk about basically the march and the diversity of people who are out here marching, protesting, participating when it comes to social justice, when it comes to getting equal treatment and equal treatment for people who are Black and brown skin, does it matter who's at the party? Does it matter if you have folk who are just systematically opposed to some of the things that you may get down with?
Not to me, not really, because it's the mission at hand. At the end of the day, I love everybody. I'm called to love, period. And the goal is to stand together as unity, and that's how they divide us. I'm not saying that I condone their walk or whoever life. Bottom line is, you human like I am. So walking together doesn't mean we agree on that subject, but we on this one mission. So I'm cool with it. I mean, I've always been, that's been my stance. I mean, I love people. I got homeboys I grew with, and they chose that lifestyle. Do I stop loving them? Do I stop walking with them? No, I don't. I keep it moving. I keep my beliefs. But at the end of the day, if you choose to fight with me in this war, then I think it's okay.
Okay. All right. So Pastor Daniel, before I come to you, just want to remind everyone, this is a conversation. So if anyone wants to put in a comment or a question, please feel free to type it into the comment section and we'll address it as we go on. So a similar question to you. So if on Sunday we sit back here and some of these churches, some churches are cool with LGBTQ, some churches are not, some churches are cool with bringing in just anybody, some churches are not. how do you sit back here and see other churches who are sitting and saying, look, we can't get down with this whole social justice thing because the people who are out there aren't people who we agree with, or the people who are out there are not people who we can, get into fellowship with. We gotta stick to our own. Should the church be, we go in and we fight for social justice regardless of who is out there with us, or do we be like, oh, we can't get with you because we don't agree with you?
Nah. First of all, good evening, my brother Irv. What's up, bro?
Hey, Pastor, how you doing?
Hey, so now I look at things a little different, man. So before I came into the kingdom, I hung with a lot of different people, and in that realm, I didn't know what everybody believed in. In that realm, I didn't agree with every lifestyle of everybody that I hung with. However, I still made a choice to hang with them. Did not mean I had to do what they did, but I did make a choice to hang with them because I think people are people. So I think, far as the church goes, man, I think sometimes the church has taken a stance, and I think they all have a choice to do what they want to do. But I think it's a stance where you're missing out on a whole lot if you choose to alienate a certain group of people based upon their sexual mentality, based on their age, based on their color, based on all those different things. I think you're missing some benefits that God has gifted some people with. However, I don't think we should put down our standard for what God says about certain things. So we shouldn't put down our standard, but we should be fair enough to be able to fellowship, man, hang out with different people if they don't look like you, think like you, act like you. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback on that. One of the things that we talked about is in previous shows is that, so what can we do to support this younger generation? Because that's what it's been. It's not us, it's not us old guys who are out here really pushing the cause. It's the young people, and that's historically that's the way it is. And how do we support them? So, as a church, can we sit back and say, look, y'all can meet in our building, even though we know it's going to be a whole host of different people, or different types of people who believe different types of things, might not, let's be extreme, but you could have a Wiccan, y'all know the people who think that they're witches are part of the movement. You're comfortable with having them meet inside the church, or come inside the church and hosting them as a meeting place, kind of to, because what the younger generation may need is guidance, or what they need is a place to go and a place to meet. Are we comfortable with doing that? Pastor, I'm gonna go with you first.
No, that one I'm a little far on that because of where it stands on spiritually on the witches piece. The other piece on like you talk about LGBT, I think it's LGBTQ. That's a little different. That's like the deacon who smoke, who drink, who run women. We don't condone what he does, but we want him to come because we want him to get clean or change his lifestyle. Same thing with some of the others. We're hoping that sometimes something in the word will cause somebody to want to change their lifestyle. Even with the witches coming, witches are coming. I wouldn't give them the space to have a service. However, if they come, I just pray that the Holy Spirit will convict them and cause them to want to turn direction. So I'm not going to kick them out just because they are witches. I hope they stay so they can get delivered. So, but as far as holding meetings, I think I will have to draw a line at that place. But yeah, come on in, and we got enough soldiers in the temple to fight. So if you coming in with your witches, and we got some devil slayers in the house that can handle that. So we're not afraid. We weren't afraid in the street, so we ain't gonna be afraid in the kingdom.
I like that.
We got more power now than we had in the street.
Well, we got a quick comment that says, how can I witness to you if I refuse to be around you? Either one of you address that one right there. How can you?
So that's the biggest thing. That's how they get us. So I'm trying to change you, but I'm handcuffing you. No, the love in me should be so strong, no matter what you believe, that if you come around me, my love is going to gravitate to you, and you're gonna feel compelled to say, "Hey, man, why are you so happy when everything is going wrong? Why you smiling?" So again, I just believe in that love piece, and there's nothing wrong with keeping it gangster and love. So you're right. You cannot, if I'm fighting your way, how can I? You can't. That's pushing somebody away. No, I love you. Come on, let's talk. Let's get down. I'm not going to force nothing on you, and you shouldn't force nothing on me. But let's just love each other and talk. Be humans. I think that's the part that we're missing. So how can you? If I'm pushing you away, it's impossible. We got to build a relationship, a line of communication. That's what we do for these younger generation. Build a line of communication where somebody can say, "Hey, man, look, I just got a question." And so that's the reason why we're losing, because young people got questions, nobody's answering. Step it up because they too busy beating you in the head with this wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. No, come on, let's talk, man. Let's talk, and we can agree to disagree. Because again, people might walk away from a conversation feeling the same way. But one thing they'll walk away after they talk to me, at least my thing is, man, he heard me. That's it. He heard me. And that opens up a relationship in the social emotional realm that say, man, I got to figure out what's going on with that dude. Because somehow I tried to rock him. That's what sometimes people do. Their motives are wrong. That's why you can't let everybody in your house. So I agree with that one. If you come into my house with the same motive, not this whole, I mean, I get it. I mean, that's your lifestyle, but the motive, the meeting is about social justice. So if you come set tripping on something else, that's a problem. So you tricking me. Who's being deceptive now?
Right.
If social justice is the issue, social justice, then let's stick with that. So don't come in with this whole witchery and all that stuff. It should be about I always live by this: plain talk, make good understanding. Keep the plain talk. Don't try to ease nothing in. I mean, both sides do it. They want to sneak something in, sneak in at the end. But just keep it 100. Just keep it 100. If social justice is what it is, just keep it 100. It's not about change. It's not about change a person. It's social justice. We're fighting for a cause.
That's good. That's good. You know, it's a funny thing to say because look, we go to work. You know, we go to work with some people who we don't know what they're about, but we all here to do the job. And so if we can do that, then I guess we can do this job as well. I think that's a very good point that you made.
Absolutely.
What level of responsibility? Again, we're older Black men. What's our responsibility level to get involved in this? Like, again, we know this is a younger movement. When I say younger movement, I'm gonna say the Black Lives Matter protesting that really went on in 2020. That part of it is young. We know the movement is for all of us. What level of responsibility do we have to really get involved and really push forward? I mean, we've had our time really young and out here really, you know, going out and really yelling and getting our voice out there. But at our age, where we're at, what is our level of responsibility? Like, do we need to be out here? We need to just sit back and support. Where do y'all feel as Black men?
Man, I'm 100% with Hey, I want to be in the trenches. I've always been in the trenches, and I don't know how old I will be before I realize I shouldn't be in the trenches anymore. You know what I mean? But I just believe God's word, man. His word tells us we're supposed to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves and ensure justice for those who have been crushed, who are oppressed. And I don't think there's an age limit for that. I think whatever you feel like you can do, I think you got to do your part. And I piggyback this along with the previous question you just asked. Like, how do we minister to people who we don't get an audience with? God says that we ought to be the beacon of light that sits on a hill for everyone to see. So our lifestyle alone should be just as Minister Irvin said, our lifestyle should be so bright that people want to like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Hey, can somebody give me his phone number, her phone number? Because I need to find out what they're doing. So this year I decided I'm not a political guy, so I don't do politics. But this year, November in 2020, I decided to run for the school board, the local school board. again, I'm not a political guy, but I ran for school board because I felt like there need to be somebody on that board that has a voice and who's not afraid to use their voice. And that's why I chose to do that. And another reason I chose to do that is to let other people know, to let other people that look like me know, hey, you can do the same thing. Age doesn't matter. Skin tone doesn't matter. You can get in and you can make your voice heard. It's so easy for us to stand on the outside and say what should be done, what they should be doing. Well, they made that decision. Why did they make that decision? Hey, I think it's our place to get in these political arenas, to be able to have our voices heard and to be a voice for the people. And sometimes you can't get your voice heard unless you're sitting at the table. And now everybody's not designed to sit at the table, and I understand that. But there are some of us who are designed to be able to sit to the table and are willing to lift their voice. And I think that's what we got to start getting into.
I grew up in a gang culture, so this is the reason why I think we should get into it, because there's anarchy. There's anarchy. So because because I always start off apologizing to young people I talk to. I say, man, I'm sorry, because my generation got busy chasing the bag. My generation got too busy working for success and doing all that stuff, but we failed to be our OGs. We had older people talking and pouring into us. And so what we did, we took that and it's like a dam. The information and the knowledge just cut off. So our young people are out there running reckless. So yeah, I feel we should be in the trenches in two capacities. One as wisdom, and one as fortitude, and second as fortitude, show them perseverance. I'm sorry, that say, look, let's get in, let's go through it, because every time our young people in any status catch a roadblock, it's a wrap. They shut down. So I think we should be in there coaching and helping, like front line. Like I agree with Mr. Daniel. If front line is your thing, then front line is your thing. Your thing may be strategizing, but get in the trenches. Period. Get in the fight, because you can't complain if you ain't got a dog in the fight. Right.
Yeah, we've had some people on here who've had some different, and one of the opinions that was that was put out was that the church should not fight for social justice. The church basically our job is to make Christ. And there is no justice because only God can bring justice. And so we should stay in our lane. And
so what is our lane? Slavery?
Our
stuff.
Do you agree with that sentiment?
No,
man, absolutely not. Jesus' whole life was fighting for injustice. Jesus' whole life on earth was fighting for the injustice of his people. So how do we now say that's not what God wants to do? If we say that, then we're going completely against what Jesus Christ stood for. Jesus Christ came for fighting for the injustice of his people. Matter of fact, he laid down his life for the injustice of his people to make sure his people came through. The scripture I just read earlier was Proverbs 31, 8 and 9. That's Bible. So when I hear religious people talk about what the church should not be doing, and I go back and tell them, give me Bible for that. If you cannot give me Bible for that, keep your mouth shut.
So to piggyback off that, so again, does social justice stop at the church? So I'm in the church, so I'm treated fairly. That's not how it works. No, social justice transcends between building, churches, religion. It's social justice. That's everybody. So I'm supposed to stay in it. So that's the ark of safety, because we all know that's not true. That is not good wisdom. That is not. All you do before you get anything, get some understanding. So is your lane? If your lane is to stay in church and bondage, and your mind set like, no, that's whack. I mean, so whoever told you that, I'm sorry.
To me, that's part of the slave mentality. That's part of the slave mentality, man. That's part of the slave master who is Satan himself, wants to keep you in bondage mentally, spiritually, socially, all that. And he's going to use whatever he can to do that. And unfortunately, we don't do as Mr. Irv says. We as believers, man, I said mostly as believers, we don't seek knowledge. We don't seek to get understanding. We don't seek to truly understand what God's word is saying. And it's not just a run, shout, dance, jump. You know what I mean? It's cool. I love it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't stop there. I mean, people are hungry. People are getting killed. People are getting still racially profiled. I mean, all this stuff is going to happen. What are we supposed to just ignore that and just say, just pray about it? God's going to work it all out. No, God tells us, get up and do something. When the walls of Jericho, when the walls of Jericho needed to come down, he didn't tell Joshua, sit there and pray to me. He told Joshua, get up and go walk around that wall. Go do something. And then you don't have to do it by yourself. Get some people out there to help get along with you, link up with you, and y'all march around those walls and watch the barriers come down. So forgive me for my passion coming in this, because I'm real passionate about this now. You know what I mean? It was a time where I was afraid. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. And I think a lot of pastors are the same way. There was a time that I was afraid to speak up about social injustice issues for fear of what the people were going to say. And I worried more about what the people were going to say than what God was going to hold me accountable for. So then I got to the place saying, I ain't worrying about the people. I'm worrying about what God's going to hold me accountable for. And his word says to look out for those who can't speak for themselves, fight for those who can't speak for themselves. So if they don't like it, I'm good.
So to answer this is my answer to that question. So the social justice. So what happens when social justice creeps into your church? Do you still sit there and get beat in your head? Do you still sit there and take? So you just sit there like, oh, it's gonna get better now. So it's gonna get better. No, it's common sense. If you come in my house, I have a right to protect my house, my mentals, my status, my justice. So at the end of the day, man, those questions kill me, because they're not even thinking rationally. Like, we're gonna stay in the Lord's house. No, it's not supposed to be a little temple. And let's keep it 100. The house is this. We the temple. That's where you stay at. So at the end of the day, man, that question is crazy. That's I don't even see how I can come through.
But
anyway,
call me. Tell them call me.
Yeah.
Man, we'll talk one-on-one.
Well, we got some comments rolling in. So it says for some young people, the church has stopped being relevant. And so
agree.
Let's go ahead on that. You know, because this is a social justice issue, but it's also an issue of church. And so if it's saying that, you know, I think because of issues like this, that we're not. It's a shame. It's great. I love the fact that when George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor happened, that young people got energized and decided to go out there. I love that. I am concerned at the fact that why wasn't the church out there front street? Like, why weren't we the first ones to do something? Why haven't we been doing something lately? In the magnitude. I mean, we know the little churches that do it, you know, we've done little things here and there, but in the same kind of magnitude or the same impact that just you know, the energy that these younger kids have. And so people look at us and see that the church is not relevant. Is it because of these type of issues? Is it because we're not out front? Why do you think that young people don't see us as relevant, especially when they have a problem? Because we were a place that they had problems.
I'm going to use Pastor Daniels for example. The beauty of Pastor Daniels is that I can, like, if I didn't know the Lord, if I didn't know, and I felt like I needed help from somebody, I know that he's relevant because he knows my walk. He knows my talk. He knows the culture. Most of the time, the churches are stuck in that realm of good old boy, and they just want to stay still into the suits. They still into the old school, which is nothing wrong. If that's what your thing is, your thing. But however, that generation just talked a good game. But I've learned that talk is cheap, but it's costly. So it's not, so you can't talk to this generation. You got to show them. If you say you're going to be somewhere, if you say you understand, then show them that you understand. Show them that you care. Go into that piece. And that's the reason why. And some people are just scared to get out that box, bro. We have pastors just stuck in that realm of pastoring, that church. That's all they want, because that's all they was taught. But church is supposed to change lives. How can we change lives and we not even relevant? We think TikTok is the devil. We don't even know the common sense, the difference between lit and lit. They think most pastors think they're smoking. No, that's lit. It's hype. So there's a disconnect. That's why they don't get on the front line, because pastors are not relevant. I agree with the young people. I'm in school every day. I work in the schools. I'm in the trenches. So I'm listening. I understand what they're talking about, and then I make myself transparent with them. That's another one. Most pastors don't want to be transparent. They don't want you to know what you've been through. But thankfully, we got people like Pastor Daniels that doesn't mind. Like say, this is why I know you're headed, because why? I was there, and we need more people like that. That's why they don't come into the house. Because why come in if you're gonna bash me or you don't speak my language, or you do, or you just scared to speak my language based on ties and all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. I think the church has an image of themselves that is not attractive to young folks. Image in the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves, the way we teach. I think is in a way, like for real. Like I don't. So I'm a pastor. I love a sweet hoop. I do. I really do love a sweet hoop. But these young cats don't care about no sweet hoop. They don't care about no pick you up, turn you around, place your feet on solid ground, say yeah, say yeah. They don't care about that. They want to know, how do I handle being with my homeboy who, like y'all said, who doesn't look like me, who doesn't sound like me? How do I go in the grocery store and I'm getting racially profiled? How do I keep my cool and not knock that person's head off? Give me some Bible to help me understand that. Give me some Bible to help me understand, man, I'm broke, I'm poor, and I ain't trying to go back into the streets. So I'm not trying to stay in the streets. How do I get out of the streets and trust God with my resources that he gives me? I eat tithe. I don't want to just talk about tithe. Tell me how God is going to give me resources, and then how I'm supposed to manage my resources. Teach me how to manage my bank account. When I do get the money, what do I do with the money when I get it?
Absolutely.
Instead of me going buying these Timbs and these Jordans and all this stuff, help me figure out how to first get me a savings account, then how to invest my money so I can then build wealth for my children and my children's children, like the Bible tells me. I can't build wealth if I spend it every day. Every dime I get, if I spend it, I can't build wealth. So I think the Bible needs to be relevant to people now. And when we go to church, I want to be able to teach people in a relevant manner. I give big props to Bishop Kim Brown, who taught me most of what I know about the right now word, the right now church. And he explains stuff so relevant. And what he calls it existentialize. He takes the Bible and make it relevant to this day and time. Bro, we've all heard Daniel in the lion's den. You know what I mean? We've all heard Moses and all. We've all heard the Noah's Ark. We've all heard those stories. But now these young folks need to say, okay, I don't care about that. What does that relate to me now?
Absolutely.
I heard my great grandmother say that. I heard but that doesn't mean anything to me. How does that relate to me now? And I think the church forgets that we need to make the word relevant to everybody who comes in the room. Jesus himself did that. Jesus spoke in parables, and he only spoke parables to what people understood what the parable would be. So he didn't talk fishers of men to carpenters. He talked fishers of men to fishermen. You see what I'm saying? So it was relevant to people. Right. You know what I mean? So I think we missed that piece. We don't make it relevant to people, man. And I think that's why our young folks don't get it. We need to understand the drip. We need to understand what drip is. Yeah. And I get from the pulpit sometimes, and I'll joke I'm like, that was a good place to put drip, wasn't it, y'all? And they laugh, you know what I mean?
But that's a connection.
It's a connection. I'll come to church. I came to church one day with my son. My son's in the Jordans and all that. I've never bought a pair of Jordans before, but he bought me some Jordans, and I came to there was a new pair. I don't know what number it was. I have no clue. But he bought me a pair of Jordans. Were they 4s?
They were the 4s.
You saw them? See, I want the church. I want the church. And the kids like, yo, Pastor got on the Jordan, yo. And what that did was, yes, I did not have a suit on. I did not have my Johnson Murphys on. I did not have my bow tie, my whatever, all that stuff. I didn't have my collar. I didn't have all that, but I had that. And guess what I just did? I just pulled them in.
Right.
I just pulled them in with the gym, with the tent, with the Jordans and jeans. Mm-hmm. And then now I got their ear. And I think that sometimes the church is afraid to do that because they're afraid, again, back to what I said. If I come to church in some jeans and Jordans, the mother of the church can tell me I'm going to hell because I'm in the pulpit with some jeans and Jordans on and not my robe or my suit. They can tell me, Pastor, you can't be doing everything that the world does. We're supposed to come out of the world. We're supposed to come out of the world, and we're supposed to be setting an example for the world, and not the world setting an example for us. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of pastors are afraid to hear that stuff and not be afraid to say, look, I'm trying to win some souls. Y'all in church every single Sunday, and the truth of the matter is, y'all ain't going to heaven just because y'all coming to church.
Right.
So that's my piece, man. Sorry. I get a little. Can you tell I get a little?
That was dope. That was dope.
Unfortunately, our time has gone on. It goes quick. It does every time.
Are you kidding me?
I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the conversation, and I appreciate the knowledge. And hopefully, it pricks someone's ear. But the continuing conversation, the cross section between church and what we're doing, and social justice and what it's doing, and that it's similar in the same fight. So I appreciate y'all being on. I hope that you will join me again. Join us again here at Impact 2021. Thank everybody for tuning in and participating. Remember, this conversation continues. So if you can type anything into the chat, and we'll get back to you and keep this conversation going. Again, thank you for being here, and good night.